Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be sharing the 10 brands that I have one-sided beef with, okay? For some reason, something within me just doesn't like these brands and they haven't done anything to me. They haven't done anything horrifying that I'm aware of, at least. I just don't like them and I don't know why. So we're going to unpack it together today. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so kicking us off, we're going to be talking about One Size. I don't know what it is about this brand. I have never tried anything from them. I'm not sure if it's because they started off maybe not being available here. I think when the brand first launched, it was only available in the US on Sephora and it maybe wasn't available here for a while. So I maybe just counted them out unnecessarily based on really just the fact that it wasn't available to me, so we move on, and they've just never made it back into the inner circle. I'm not sure. I look at the products, I hear really good things about a lot of these products, and I just don't know why it's just not quite appealing to me enough for me to give it a try. It could potentially be that I just maybe don't feel like the target market here, perhaps. One Size Beauty, by the way, is Patrick Starr's brand, so I'm not sure if it's just because Patrick Starr's makeup is always full beat, full glam, layers, you know, really heavy, like stunning over the top, full beat, full glam makeup. So perhaps there's something there because that's just not, you know, the type of makeup, one, I am capable of doing, and two, that I do on a regular basis. I'm much more sort of low-key, soft glam, that's kind of my thing. So maybe it's just because I'm looking at that brand as being like the full beat, full glam, full-on makeup brand, and it just doesn't feel like my thing. The packaging looks nice. You know, the products, there's a lot of products there. What really sort of caught my eye recently was their makeup removal spray. That seems so innovative to me. I've heard amazing things about their setting spray, but I just never buy anything from them and I just don't know quite what it is, but there's a disconnect, and I think it is perhaps, to me, that brand is just not my style of makeup, and I've counted them out without even trying it. So I'm not 100% sure, but let me know, what are your thoughts on One Size? Have you tried it? Do you think I should try it? Am I missing out? What products are great from the brand? Let me know. Next up, this is a hard one to say because it used to really be my cup of tea, but it's really slipped by recently, and this is Laura Mercier. They used to be one of my all-time favorite brands. When they first brought out those blushes and they had the Flawless Lumiere foundation, was like my holy grail for a hot moment. But then I feel like over the last 5 years, I've really not bought anything from them until literally maybe the last month, and I can see them. They're making a comeback. I don't think I've bought anything from Laura Mercier for several years now, until, like I said, the last month when I've bought their new tinted moisturizer, which I love, and I'm planning to buy, once they're available here, their new like bronzers, their £4, it's £2, isn't it, bronzer highlighter. I definitely am going to be buying those as soon as they arrive here. So clearly we're now moving back towards being friends again. I think they went for a long while, not really releasing many new products. They were releasing these really, to me, quite lackluster eyeshadow palettes that I was never interested in. They left their blush offering just as it was for years. There were no new shades, nothing new, nothing exciting, and they just sort of rested on their laurels for quite a long time. And I just fully lost interest in them among, you know, the snowstorm of new products. They just got left and forgotten about because they just weren't keeping up with everybody else who was moving on and new. They just kind of were just resting on their laurels. But now I feel like they're making a comeback. So I had a bit of beef with Laura Mercier. I forgot them for a few years, but I feel like 2025, we are becoming friends again. They're heating back up. I like the direction they're going in. I think they're going to be back in 2025. Next up, I'd say these next 3 brands all fit into the same category, and I feel like the reason why I never buy anything from them, more or less, is all the same, and that's Estee Lauder, Clinique and Clarins. Estee Lauder is slightly different. I mean, I'm sitting here having just picked up their concealer, and this has become my instant holy grail concealer. So Estee Lauder is definitely at the top of this trio of neglected brands by me. So I'd say let's separate Estee Lauder. I think the thing about Estee Lauder, I know this is going to sound really rude and offensive, but to me it literally screams old lady makeup. That's what the brand, unfortunately for me, has like become in my mind, and that's just based on the fact that it is like the counter brand here in the UK. I'm not sure about how Estee Lauder is represented in other countries, but in the UK it's one of like these several brands, Clarins and Clinique being two of the others, that has been forever a counter in Boots, and the only people who shop at these counters in Boots, typically, not the only people, but typically you see a lot of older ladies there who are, you know, buying double wear and maybe one of their lipsticks, and there's always someone who's, usually I've had really terrible experiences with the people who work on those counters as far as shade matching and helping me with products. So it really has become like this cliched older person brand. I think in the last few years, Estee Lauder has really done a lot to sort of modernize itself and to sort of move away from that image, and I think they're doing a great job with their packaging. This is definitely looking much more classic and luxury as opposed to outdated and old. So I think Estee Lauder is definitely, you know, again, one like Laura Mercier that is moving out of this box where I'm just like, it's not for me. But Clarins and Clinique are very much still in those boxes for me. I think the issue with Clinique and Clarins, again, they are those counter brands in Boots that really is, you know, feels like your mum always got all her makeup there and not you. And now I'm the mum and I don't want to become a counter lady myself. That's what it is, okay? Now I know that I am the counter lady. I am the mum shopping at the counters in Boots, and I'm trying to steer clear of it, okay? But Clinique and Clarins, for a start, they both have appalling, abysmal inclusivity. Their shade ranges are just atrocious. Estee Lauder, I mean, I feel like they could do better in certain aspects, but they definitely are way ahead of Clarins and Clinique. I have never in my life been able to find a shade that works for me from Clinique. I actually used to love one of their foundations that I think has been discontinued now, but back in the day, early stages of my YouTube channel, I can't even think what it was called, their glow, some glow, and it was in a thin bottle, like plastic, like square thin, do you know what I'm talking about? It was something about glow, I'm sure. I loved that foundation, but it never matched me because they don't have shades for me, and they don't have shades probably for about 50% of the population. They're just really lacking in their inclusivity. Everything is bright yellow or orange as far as undertones, and yeah, it's just never been a brand that's worked for me, but they just don't have enough choice. Clarins, I feel like, are very much skincare focused, and everything is skincare, and that's how they present. And then they have a few bits of makeup that feels really old-fashioned and dated that does not appeal to me in the slightest. Clinique have bits that are decent, and I feel like they present themselves as a more like 50-50 skincare and makeup, and some of their makeup has skincare as well, but it's just there's not enough of it. It's not diverse enough. The undertones are a mess. It needs shaping up. So those three brands for me, they all carry that stigma of being like the Boots counter ladies brands, but Estee Lauder are definitely doing more to get out of there, and they've definitely produced some really great products over the last few years. Clarins and Clinique, I just have no interest in trying their products. Nothing about it appeals to me. Is it just me? Am I the only one? Next up, a very different brand is Raban. I really don't know what it is about Raban that I just am not interested in. I think the only product I've tried from Raban so far is their eyeshadow, which I liked. I don't think it necessarily like knocked my socks off and became one that I use very often, because I couldn't tell you the last time I used it. But I didn't have, it wasn't like that purchase put me off buying from them again. There's just something that doesn't appeal to me about the brand, and I'm really not sure what it is. I typically am slightly jaded when it comes to like new designer brands releasing, like becoming a makeup brand. So like Prada did, like Gucci did, like Raban did. But you know, Gucci I've really got on board with. They really proved themselves to me. You know, initially it feels like, oh gosh, it's another designer house starting a makeup line. It's a cash grab and it's not really going to have much effort and thought behind it. But Gucci really have done an excellent job. And I've got so much Gucci makeup in my drawers now, and I love 99% of it, if not all of it. I can't think of anything I don't love from the brand. They've done an excellent job. They've weaseled their way into my heart as accepting them as a standalone brand that offers great makeup. Prada is getting there. Their foundation really surprised me. Again, their eyeshadows really surprised me. So again, they're a brand that I have accepted and welcomed into the family. Raban and Valentino also fits into this box that it's not resonating with me for some reason. I think with Valentino, again, being, you know, a luxury designer house that chucked out a makeup line, I think the issue I had with Valentino is that in the initial reviews, the packaging, it's really expensive, as are many of these brands. And their packaging was just not good enough. It was rattling, it was loose, it was cheap feeling, it was lighter. And that just immediately turned me off and said, you know, they're not putting the effort in. They're not giving me the value for money. They're not making these little touches that count if you're going to charge those prices. So Valentino just became one that I wrote off. And I have tried a couple of things from them now. I've tried their highlighters, blushes, foundation. I like the blushes and the highlighter. They didn't knock my socks off. It didn't wow me. They're not sort of in my top drawer everyday favorites. The foundation just wasn't really for me. It wasn't my style of foundation. So that's probably it for now. You know, I've tried a few things, liked it, not been wowed. So I don't really plan to continue buying from them. Raban, it's probably the least interested I am in a brand when it comes to a designer brand. It's just, there's nothing, it's not like I've seen terrible reviews. It's not that there's a specific thing. It's just not interesting me. I'm not sure if it's the marketing. Again, it's quite limited in what they offer. You know, they've got some of these blush duos, I think they're cream, aren't they? Then they've got this strangely packaged concealer and a foundation that has a very limited shade range. Again, it's maybe just a little bit of they releasing these bits here and there. It doesn't feel like a cohesive brand yet, and I'm not hearing wow things about them that are making me be tempted to try more from them. So Raban, they're just not managing to get on my radar at this moment. Next up, a brand that again I've dipped a toe in here and there, but it's never become one that I'm excited for, that I'm really like excited to see what they're coming out with. When they release a new product or I see a new product coming from them, there's nothing that sort of stirs my loins about the release. And this is By Terry. I don't know what's disconnecting between me and By Terry, but it's just not my brand. I feel like the whole brand feels a little dated. Again, a bit like Clarins and Clinique. A lot of their products feel like they are either for an older generation or they just haven't moved with the times enough to stay exciting and appealing to younger generations and becoming popular products and making things exciting. Everything feels very classic from By Terry. They have their classic style of makeup and it stays pretty much like that. But I feel like they need to sort of move on. Everybody else has moved on and we're still at the restaurant with By Terry. Their shade range, again, I really struggle with their shades when it comes to foundations. We can't work out. They don't have undertones for me. So that's an immediate blocker. That means that I'm not going to be able to use their concealers, foundations and really enjoy them. Their powder is great. That's kind of the product that I've liked the most from them in recent years. I think their loose setting powder is really good. Other than that, everything just is not for me. It feels like it's maybe a bit dated. It's just not my cup of tea. Nothing's wowing me. Everything just feels a little like 10 years ago to me, and therefore it's always an easy pass. I just don't look for By Terry. If I'm going into the shops, I'm not going to go over to their stand and start swatching things because there's just nothing there that's grabbing me. It just all feels a little blah to me. Next up, another brand that I feel could be on their way off of the naughty list in my book, and that is Milk Makeup. I know what happened with Milk Makeup, and that is, again, it was not available here for so long. We couldn't get the products. They were only in the US, or they weren't in the UK anyway, for a very long time. And then when they do finally get here, it's too late. I don't want you now. That's rude, okay? You've made me wait for years, and now maybe I'm not going to buy you anyway. So there. I think there's a bit of me that's bitter. If I'm being really honest, I'm looking deep within myself. I am, I think, a bit of the problem here because I hear great things about Milk Makeup, and I'm wearing their skin tint today and I loved it. I really like this, but I've tried a few products from Milk. They sent me some products in PR one time, never again. And I think just, again, the products they sent me were not really my cup of tea, like the Hydra Grip primer. That's like a gluing your makeup on type of primer, which is just not for me at all. And so maybe there's a bit of a mismatch. They did a lot of cream sticks initially in their sort of first launches, the cream bronzer sticks and cream blush sticks, which again is not my preference for makeup. I'm a powder girly. So I think initially not available here. So I'm forgetting that you exist because you don't to me. Then the products they released, a lot of them were not just my preference for makeup, but now I feel like we could be turning a corner with this skin tint. They've got some other releases that are becoming a bit more interesting to me. So here we are, we're on the cusp, okay? It could go in one way or the other, but I feel like we're at a crossroads now, me and Milk, and it could be that we go this way and the skin tint that I'm loving takes me down the Milk path to Milk Town, where I start really enjoying the brand, or this is going to be like the last product I buy for some time and they're back in detention. It could go either way, I'm undecided. And lastly, a controversial one. I don't know if it is, tell me how you feel about this. ABH. The reason I say this is controversial is because when I started my channel, ABH were like the brand. They were the hyped brand. Everybody went gaga for their products. Everyone went loopy. They lost their marbles. Do you remember the whole like PR list? Are you on the list? I was never on the list. But if you got on the list, they would send you 4,000 products in like, I can only imagine, a giant suitcase full of makeup, every single product they've ever made, and everyone would be posting about, and it was literally like the second coming of Jesus if you made it onto this list. People were selling their mothers to get on this list. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. But people were falling over themselves, okay, to get on this list. And it was like the list to be on. Everybody was going nuts 5 or 6 years ago for ABH. And that has really, really faded off in the last few years. I feel like now ABH releases products, I don't even know they're coming out until that someone mentions it. And I think, oh, I didn't even know that was coming. The excitement and the hype of that brand has completely fallen off a cliff. And I'm not sure if they just did too much. They made too much noise. I don't think they listened. I think there was a lot of products that they came out with that were limited edition. People asked them to be made permanent. When we want more of these. The Amrezy highlighter collab that everyone went nuts for, and they wouldn't give us back. We wanted it in more shades. To say, give us that formula in like a range of shades. They didn't listen. They didn't do it. I feel like their eyeshadows, they went for a really, really long time without bringing a palette out, having like drowned us in them. It then went to like nothing for a long time. And they also did some quite random collabs. So I feel like they went almost, they got lost in their own hype, and then they cut it all off instead of maybe going in between. And then we all forgot about them and moved on. And now it's like they've really, gone quiet, and I feel something brewing. I think, again, 2025, I feel like they're coming back. I think they're sort of finding their way a bit more. They've made their packaging a bit more grown up, where I think it went a little bit more and more garish, much younger and younger, and now they're sort of coming back. They're making things a bit more understated. They're presenting it as a bit more of a grown-up brand now, and I think they're sort of working to just maybe reintroduce themselves as a bit more of a grown-up brand now, with a bit more elegant, refined packaging and products, as opposed to it being like the really full beat, crazy, over-the-top Instagram makeup from 5 years ago brand. I think that's what it is. I think that makeup look that was 5 years ago, that was really drag inspired, ABH really leapt on that and did a lot of products that were targeted for that style of makeup, and all they posted was that type of makeup on their feeds, and they became that brand that did that huge over-the-top Instagram makeup. And then so the rest of us who that's just not our thing, you know, weren't interested in the brand. It's not for us. They weren't working with any other creators who did really any other type of makeup. And so then when that became like, went out of fashion, that style of makeup, it was like they also went out of fashion with it, because that was very much how they presented themselves. But I feel like they're now, you know, growing up as a brand. They are redeveloping and reasserting themselves as actually an everyday, regular consumer brand as well, with some really great solid staple products. I think they could be making a comeback. Again, I haven't been excited for the brand. I haven't tried anything from them in years. They've really fully gone off of my radar, but I sense that could change this year. But there you have it. Those are all of the brands that I have one-sided beef with, for varying different reasons. Some I know the reasons, some I just don't know what my problem is. But they just don't resonate with me. They don't appeal to me for one reason or another. Please let me know your feelings on these brands, and what are your brands that just don't exist to you. They're just not on your radar, and there's maybe not a specific reason or a thing that they've done that's turned you off of them or that's put you off trying their products. It's not necessarily that you tried something you didn't like. It's just that for some reason it's not grabbing you, it's not appealing to you. It's so interesting to me to look at these brands, like, why do I not review these brands? Why am I not interested in them? What is it about them? Because I can be wrong, and I hold my hands up. I was wrong about Bobbi Brown. You guys know my journey with Bobbi Brown last year, when Bobbi Brown was very much on this list, and they said, no, we don't want to be on that list. And they sent me their products, and I actually tried them and gave them a fair shot. And I loved so many of them. And now Bobbi Brown is really on my radar. I know they make great products, and I've really enjoyed a lot of them. So now I look out for their releases. So I know I can be wrong, and this can just be really judgmental and, you know, judging a book by its cover or for some other unfair, biased reason. But sometimes it's just not a brand that's for me, and that's okay. But please tell me what brands are just not for you for one reason or another in the comment section down below. Are they the same as mine, or are they completely different? Let me know all of your thoughts on brands that you too have one-sided beef with. Tell me I'm not the only meanie around here. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.